जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम 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 जय जय राम।
जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम 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 जय जय राम। श्री राम Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri 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 Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम 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 जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम. Hari Om to everybody. Hari Om to everybody.
Nobody is talking.
Can you hear?
Pranam Swamiji, we can hear Swamiji.
Chari, okay. Because there was no response.
We had to on our speakers.
Acha, now we have to keep on reminding us that Papa made us to have probably a quick run with Shatabdi Express of the whole 18 chapters. as the first round. We are just trying to see what are there. 18 stations we are going by one from one. And again we will start the journey. Individually, collectively or not, but we will decide later. So this gives us some idea about each and every chapter. And 18th, we should apply our mind more and more, because that is the quintessence of the entire 17, according to people who have mastered this. Papa himself says at the beginning of this, in the Gita Sandesh, the last chapter of the Gita is a compendium or a brief masterly summary of all that is told in the foregoing chapters. It reveals the conclusive word and message of the entire Gita. In fact, it brings the whole teaching to its culmination, setting once for all in clear and decisive knowledge the many problems dealt with so far in a more or less straggling and disjointed manner. This introduction is very, very important. The whole teaching to its culmination. We one word, how for the past 2-3 days we have been going from 49, sloka number 49 to 63 or 64. This must have given all of us what is the final message. Anybody can say anything on this?
Everything is done by him.
Everything is done by him. So we total surrender. That is the entire cream. For that we have to make some preparatory measures. All those preparatory measures were dealt with in 17 chapters. But again, as a quick run, he makes again from 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, the preparatory measures that we should not lose sight of. He says about detachment. We are working, we are dealing with human beings, yet there is inside us a tremendous sense of detachment. Very fearless, at the same time very gentle. Spirit of detachment, freedom from all kinds of cravings, renunciation of all action in inaction. Then he said, mind is taken away from dualities, from contrary experiences. One who resorts to the isolated place, eats but little, who has speech, body and mind control, who is ever engaged in the yoga of meditation, who is possessed of dispassion, being endowed with pure intellect, subduing the body and senses with fortitude, relinquishing sound and such other sense objects and abandoning attraction and hatred. The notion of I and mine makes us small, and so by renouncing it, one develops tranquility. If all these things are done, that person becomes fit. Brahma bhuyate. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. He is fit for becoming Brahman. And then, from there he keeps on telling how to handle the focus of individuality within us. We are concentrated on that sense of individuality, by which we can live happily in peace with other people, project that peace onto to the outside world. These are all preparatories. No hatred, love and compassion alone can come from such a devotee, because he or she finds his or her divine in the hearts of all beings, because he or she finds his or divine in the heart, that is his or her line of thinking in spiritual practice. When we develop that bhakti, we understand what is God, what is all this life. Till then, it's only an attempt to understand. Now it is real understanding. And in the next stanza is very, very important. It is, we will enter into him. That is, unknowingly, unwittingly, we have placed a stick on a water surface, and we say it is left and right. Good, bad, all dualities come because of that. The me and mine is the stick. The entire universe within us and without us, that is the water, and I place the stick. And because I place the stick, I say this is right, this is left, this is wrong, this is good, this is okay for me, this is not okay for me. So in this stanza, he says, when you remove the stick, all the imposed dualities dwindle. It doesn't leave any dent. Beautifully it has been brought. Bhaktiya mam avijanadi yava neschasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato nyatva vishate tadanandaram. So the obstruction is removed. The me and mine. If you have to live with others, we have to eliminate this I. We have to soften it, we have to go beyond it, we should expand our concept of I. This has been the teaching. In all these various chapters, now we are coming to the final act. The little I goes away, is set aside, is dissolved in that infinite one. And then if we bring God dimension in anything that we do, he comes to me. My grace will be there. That means he comes to me. My grace, through my grace, one achieves that state of infinitude, which is one's true nature. We did not know it, but our life gave us this education. I am not this tiny little thing. There is something infinite about me. And then, so these are all the preparatory measures, and he was talking about Buddhiyoga. What is Buddhiyoga? Whenever, before we act, we do some thinking. We make it to go through a refinery, Just like the crude oil, as such it cannot be used. But when the crude oil is processed is made to go through the refinery, all the petroleum products come in, which are of very much use to daily life. Similarly, he says, as we refine crude oil and produce beautiful petroleum products, even so the human mind should be able to refine one's own experiences and bring out of them beautiful character products. That is what is the result of this refinery, Efficiency in action, concern for others, tremendous peace of mind. There are so many. He has picked up 3. So every time before we react to events and individuals, we just try and see for ourselves whether it has gone through this litmus test. Whether there is efficiency in action, whole-souled, brilliant, creative, potential, and concern for others, quality, care and concern for others, yeah. And finally, peace of mind. So this is Buddhiyoga. Very important, all needed for our daily life. We will be able to absorb any shock. If it is made to go through this refining process. Some digging, some going within is necessary. Because God has paraded before us so many experiences of others as well as ours. We try to take the guidance or the teachings or the learnings from observation as well as from our own experience. And then react. So that means it has undergone this refinery. It is not crude. Somebody says, immediately you say something, It has not undergone the refinery process. Beautiful. So bring out of them beautiful character products. We will be able to refine our own experiences and bring out of them beautiful character products like efficiency in action, concern for others, tremendous peace of mind. Each one can apply his or her mind, because these are something which stand out. There may be so many things. When we were going through this particular sloka, 57, this is the one which stood out. Beautiful. Before I react to events and individuals, I should subject it to go through this. Not impulsively act. And then feel sorry. Though it's difficult for us because we are used to this, immediate reaction. So this is the cardinal message. And then that is Buddhiyoga, he said. And Raghunadanji says, as I said earlier, the discussion will end in the Charama Shloka of the Geeta, where the theme is complete transcendence of the ego. When we said that Buddhiyoga, efficiency in action, concern for others, peace of mind, if we closely, subtly analyze it, that can be possible only when we raise ourselves a little higher than the me and mind level. If immediately reacting is from the me and mind level. Because to me that is not right, so immediately say you are wrong. But the moment we raise ourselves a little higher and see what is happening, we will try to put ourselves in their shoes and try to find out. And then if we are still convinced, we will say lovingly, that is not right. See the difference, So the ego, that means the subservience of the ego, subservience to the ego is lessened. And it is tamed, subdued. It is made to dwell on a higher plane. That can be possible only when the God thought gets stabilized in us. So Swamiji says, we are now coming to the end of the Gita, and that is why the language is more and more of this type, involving God's grace and our surrender to Him, who is the friend of all, who is the self of all. Some great idea is coming of this. The I is disappearing. God alone is left, resulting in complete surrender to God. And if it had been put earlier, we would have misunderstood. Now we are in a position to understand that this surrender is truly unique. Surrender at this stage is truly victory. Many of you might remember Swamiji's recorded talks with Premanandji. In that, when the question he says, defeat, no? Victory. Eh?
Defeat of the ego.
Defeat of the ego. That is surrender here. Here surrender means defeat of the ego. You remember those words? This is very important. It came to him spontaneously. The question was asked, surrender, what is surrender? Normally surrender means, in a war, somebody declares, I am the winner, the other one is the loser. The loser surrenders. No, here it is not like that. Here the surrender stands for the defeat of the ego. That is the cream of 18th chapter. Surrender at an early stage is never a victory, but at this stage surrender is victory. That is what is going to be illustrated in the coming verses. So fixing mind on me, you shall by my grace overcome all obstacles, but ye from self-conceit, you will not hear me, you will perish. If that means the ego, fat ego, will push us into. It will take us for a ride. Just like when we are sitting on a horse, if we don't have the reins, the horse will take us somewhere. And in that process, horse will fall, we will fall, many things can happen. But suppose we have got the reins in our hand, we will be able to direct the horse to the destination where we want. So that is what is emphasized here. The fat ego can make life miserable. One can't live with other people. How many times we have discussed the subject of transformation from the ego of individuality to the tremendous concern for other people coming through personality development. If personality development does not merely include bringing out the latent potentialities or creativities in us. Personality development, that means I try to want to get out of the cage in which I have put myself. The me and mine. And he just gives some explanation in the next chapter. If filled with self-conceit, you think I will not fight, your Prakriti will force you to fight. You are bound, that situation is there in you, don't ignore it through your own egoistic idea. Then he declares the highest philosophy, Ishvara Sarvabhuthanam, a very famous slogan repeated by many Mahatmas in as many forms as possible. It is in the 18th, because he says, not thou. This is a tremendous experience. It's called Sharanagati. Not I, but thou. Thou alone art. I am just your child and nothing else. We become like a child before the divine. After all, what can a child do in the house? Only the parents can do for the child. And then, from there, again, emphasis is given. Take refuge in Him alone with all your heart. By His grace you shall attain supreme peace, the eternal abode. We start our life with personal effort. Then we come to personal assertion expressed as I. And we do all things. Finally we learn that it is not I, but only He, but He. Nothing else is there. That is the last language of spiritual life. So that is the nature of the divine grace. There we are entirely under the inspiration of the divine grace. Lord alone is, nothing else is there. Then he gives them freedom, gave a long talk, do some contemplation, meditation, manana, and then you act as prompted from within. Through this, he is teaching all of us, who is the best teacher. No dictum, no dogma, no insisting, no imposing. At the same time, we are not keeping, in strongest term, he will say, if you don't hear, you will perish. But at the same time, he says, all these things I have said, because you are so dear to me. But now, think over it and do as you get the inner prompting. This is to be applied to all, in all our cases, whether you are working in a company, whether you are teaching profession, whether you are in any type of profession, counseling, you find, you can place the matter, whether he is a subordinate or not. Even a good boss will definitely hear, I don't think, sir, you are right. I have my own reservations. I have still some more doubts to be clarified. Then he will change. We have seen that. No assertion. No. That means we try to raise ourselves from our me and mine level. There could be so many, as we used to share, very often in the Satsang, when some new project is undertaken here, Puja Swamiji, both of us will be going there. So then somebody else also will be there, visitors. They will make some comment. It can be done like this, it can be done like that. Why not we do that? Why not we do that? At that time, we used to get irritated. We are on a project. We have applied our mind sufficiently on it. So while we were alone, we were asking Swamiji, how can we go ahead with the project if so many people start giving so many ideas? Immediately, spontaneously, he turns back and says, what harm is there in hearing? It's all right, we are on a project, we have taken a decision, we have formulated a method. But if somebody says, if there is anything worthwhile, we take it, otherwise we can hold on. But that doesn't mean nobody should talk anything about it. It is a great reopener. Because on some occasion we have found their suggestion was also nice. So this is what we, observation and experience, beautifully brought out. All knowledge is jnapakam only. Information gives you knowledge about a subject. Then your impulse will convert it into action, good, bad, indifferent. It all depends on your mental state. So Krishna gives that freedom to the student to deal with the communicated knowledge in the way the student desires or thinks proper. That is the meaning of these great words. We have the idea of teaching at the highest level of Indian spiritual. A teacher will first of all not teach unless somebody asks for it. We must seek it, otherwise it has no value. Very important point. So here in this verse we can see this idea. Please throw some light on me. I want your help, I want your guidance. This is what Arjuna said. That means he was seeking. That is why the whole, that was in second chapter or first chapter. Karpanya dosha bhada svabhava dharmasam mooda cheda yacheyasya nishchidam bruhi danme shishyaste aham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am your student, your disciple, teach me. Seventh shloka in the second chapter. So that is how the beginning, he is seeking. So Papa now says through Ranganathananda Swamiji, first of all you find out whether you are seeking. You say, I have heard but I don't remember. At that particular time, it was very interesting. Afterwards it doesn't stay with me. Even if it stays with me, it doesn't go beyond that. Because my thoughts have not been influenced by that. It is just a superficial thought, that's all. Not going, why? Then this question comes, are we seeking an answer? Has this become a question in ourselves? We were talking about that refinery. Having heard this, If we do manana, then only we will know. Yeah, it's correct. I committed blunders when I react to so many things. Later on, I felt I shouldn't have told. In some cases, I would have apologized. In some cases, my ego will not permit me to apologize. But the truth is that I have caused disturbance in the minds of somebody. Whereas I have been every day learning that I should be gentle. Nobody says that you should keep quiet and should not express your this thing. But it should be gentle. Mardavam. So why it is not going in? We are not seeking. We must ask for it. We must seek it. Otherwise it has no value. And then in 64, I speak to you what is good for you. My supreme word, the profoundest of all, because you are my deeply beloved one. Then in the 18th, it's beautiful. 65, not 18, 65. Manmana bhava madbhakta. Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te. Pradijane priyosi me. Occupy your mind with me. Be devoted to me. Sacrifice to me. Bow down to me. You shall then reach me only. Truly, I promise unto you, you are dear to me. A great assurance. Occupy your mind with me. Be devoted to me, sacrifice to me, bow down to me, then you shall reach me only. That means bringing in the God dimension behind every thought, every word, every deed. For the simple reason that He is there behind us. And because of Him, we exist as an individual. Otherwise, we may think that He is a separate entity. So think of Him, and it may not, it will be a superficial hearing, that's all. But if you add this, occupy your mind with me, devoted to me, sacrifice to me, bow down to me, then you shall reach me only. Because He is there now and here. Because of Him only I exist now. For reasons known to Him, He gave me this part to play. So every now and then I look at the director, the prompter. No? Otherwise, when I act, if I become oblivious of my origin, I will identify with that part. In the drama or cinema, that is necessary. But for a spiritual aspirant, we were not thinking that we are playing the part allotted to us by Him. And our life is a prescripted, preordained act. So now we have to keep on, all these things are because He is there right now within us. A fact which we have forgotten. Though we might hear when we go to ashram, when we read shastras, when we attend satsang, still, He is different, I am different, He is still a concept in my mind, that's all. I am not moving toward the truth, the reality. Please think over this particular stanza. Manmana bhava madbhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. You are devoted to me, that's why I am telling you. You will come to me. You will enter into me when you do this all. So here we add one more word, because you are with me. I have been trying, I have been hearing, I have full faith in the words of our masters, scriptures, but still we have not been able to feel your presence. And then the famous sloka, in order to stamp this into our heart. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva pavebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Relinquishing all dharmas, take refuge in me alone. I will liberate you from all sins, grieve not. A great assurance, very great assurance. Because the doubt may still come, because I have not realized His presence. Will He relieve me of all this? But this is an open assurance given out publicly, not hush-hush. This verse is the conclusion of the spiritual message of the Gita. When we become ripe enough to understand this last teaching, then that teaching has a tremendous significance. If it had been told in the second chapter, Arjuna and we all would not have understood it at all. We have to first build up our manhood, our strength, our character, and then we can listen to this and understand it. Having said in the beginning that you become strong, full of energy, it is said finally, renounce all that and surrender yourself to me. That strength to renounce all, one can get only at that mature age. We don't have that strength in the earlier stages. The strength that makes us surrender is a superior strength. We build up that strength in the course of our struggles in this world to find a place for our own existence. There's a big company called Thermex in Pune. Dear respected Aga, he was the chairman. Our Raghuramji was working under him. He used to share what a value-based person he was. He may not utter the word spirituality or God, but he was full of values. And the company was built up by him. It has become a very big company. One fine morning he passed away. So his wife had to take over. Just imagine. I will read out her own words. That strength, that's why How does that strength come to us? In this article, I want to share my struggle in coping with death. In the last 1 year and 2 months, I have lost my husband, my son, my mother-in-law, and my pet dog. Some of you may ask how a topic like death has any relevance to an organization. To me, an organization is made up of people, and a topic which has to be faced by each and every individual is relevant. When we plan a journey, our preparation will depend on the duration and location of our destination. Similarly, our views on death will determine the quality of our lives. If we think that a human being is just a body, we will not take up a long-term view of life. But if we believe we are more than just physical entities, our philosophy of life will be different. Every word is precious. Ever since Rohinton passed away, the son, I have read extensively on the topic of death. My son used to tease me saying, by now you must be authority on death. The intellectual input is helpful and has given me an opportunity not to shy away from the reality of death. I have learned more not from morbid interest, but because it is an issue which every human being has to face and has come to terms with. My husband died at 60, at the peak of his professional career. My mother-in-law was 97 and suffering for years and longed for God to take her away. My son was 25 with a life ahead of him. All my wealth and position could not prolong his breath even a minute. Death is a great leveler, and God is not partial to anybody. A lot of people are very angry with God for taking someone they love. But if the rule of life is death is inevitable, why use God as a punching bag? We grow up believing the young do not die, death will come with old age, and then blame God for shaking our unrealistic belief system. One visit to my hospital will make us aware. One visit to any hospital will make us aware of just how many people die in the prime of life. In fact, in our anger, we forget all the strength we can mobilize from within ourselves and from the people around. Most people refer to death as a tragedy and a disaster. The nature of the sun is to rise and set each day. Would you label the sunset as a disaster? The nature of life is to be born and die. And yet, we who are most unprepared for this natural process look at it as a tragedy. To me, not getting along with people when they are alive and not investing in relationships which are important is a tragedy. The disaster is when we stop growing, that is emotionally and spiritually, by not questioning our old ways. Death is a topic which most individuals feel uncomfortable about. When I am invited to speak at public functions, they ask me what topic I would like to select. Of late, I select death, and every time, without fail, the organizers have asked me to change it. It is not strange that we consider death morbid and somehow believe that by not talking about it, we will avoid it. We tend to forget that we cannot be sure of any event in life except one, and that is death. Most people justify their fear by saying, it is not my death that I am afraid of, but the death of my dear ones. Death is a mystery, but there are two things we cannot run away from. Number one, it is absolutely certain that everyone has to die. Number two, it is uncertain when and how each one of us will die. Till 14 months back, as soon as someone talked of anything unpleasant, I used to touch wood, hoping the wood would shield me against misfortune. Touch wood, that is the usage. Like children, we pretend that if we cover our eyes in the game of hide and seek, no one will see us. We have learned to deny death or to be terrorized by it. I now realize that even if I carry a big log of wood with me, I cannot change my destiny. People often argue that if things are preordained, then why bother about what is right and wrong? Why not eat, drink, and be merry? When I cross a road, it is my responsibility to look at the left and the right and ensure that there is no vehicle. But having taken this precaution, there is no guarantee that I will never be knocked down. Similarly, I can look after myself by exercising, not overeating, not smoking, but that does not mean I will not get a heart attack or any other major ailment. There is some part I can play in shaping my life, and there is an element of uncertainty always. It is this unknown factor that makes me realize my vulnerability and tempers my arrogance with humility. The unknown factor, God, If death is inevitable, is there any way I can cope with the pain caused by the death of a dear and near one? In my experience, I can never eliminate pain, but I can reduce its bitterness, hurt, and anger if I struggle with new meanings. We define our world in a narrow way, lavish all our emotions on a select few. We define our world in a narrow way and lavish all our emotions on a select few. We have a choice of including many more into our lives. In fact, by building walls and limiting our intense emotions to only a few called family, we are the losers. There is a whole world outside waiting to be explored and to be loved, but we will not hear the voice of a child yearning for affection, nor the cry of an old person craving for attention. Einstein has said, this is a beautiful quotation of Einstein. Then only we know that he is much, much, much more than a scientist. A human being is a part of a whole, WHOLE, called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts, his feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical illusion in his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion and to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Albert Einstein. Death of a dear one is an opportunity to revalidate our goals. It can be a pause in our mad preoccupation with non-essentials like money, status, power, to find out what is really worthwhile. When a dear one is alive, we often take the relationship for granted and not nurture it. At times we value it but find no time. We clutter up our day with rituals rather than investing in meaningful relationship. There is an exercise which I have found very helpful. If I become very negative and judgmental towards a person, I pause and ask myself, what will I think and feel if that person dies today? I am not aware of a single instance when I have not realized that I am harping on the negatives and have taken the good for granted. Recently, I read the book titled, "The pace of our lives is so hectic that the last thing we have time to think of is death." We smother our secret fears of impermanence by surrounding ourselves with more and more goods, more and more things, more and more comforts, only to find ourselves their slaves. We smother our secret fears of impermanence, that is death, by surrounding ourselves with more and more goods, more and more things, more and more comforts, only to find ourselves as their slaves. All our time and energy is exhausted simply maintaining them. Our only aim in life soon becomes to keep everything as safe and secure as possible. Self-pity and sadness can be very seductive. A part of me wants to feel sorry for myself, and I want the world to be overprotective towards me. Once I let myself go down Once I let myself go down the self-pity maze, I find myself very depressed. But why I have to remember that I have a choice. I can use meditation to calm myself and put things in the right perspective, openly ask for help to be with people with whom I can talk without barriers. I was hoping and wishing that through meditation I could eliminate pain, but that I realized is impossible. There is not only mental pain, but it is also a physical manifestation of tenseness and rawness. What meditation does is to help you not get stuck in this pain and wallow in it. I am slowly learning the real meaning of meditation. It is not just the discipline of sitting still in one place, trying to keep the mind free of thought. It is learning a new way of living life. Meditation is learning a new way of living life. I have rediscovered the kindness and goodness in people. So many well-wishers from different parts of India have come to be with me. A lot of people, my generation, carry a belief that the younger lot is selfish and uncaring. But when my son died, two of his friends from Bristol University flew down as they heard the news, spent 3 weeks with me. Reliving memories of my son with his best friend was healing for me. We all say we love freedom, but we are enslaved to old ways of thinking. We use activity and busyness as a distraction from self-reflection. We use activity and busyness, busy, as a distraction from self-reflection and finding our strength. Only because of the strength, now Swamiji said about strength. Just as turbulent water does not allow the dirt to settle down, constant activity leaves no time for self-renewal and clarity. Somebody said, we do not know where death awaits us, so let us wait for it everywhere. We do not know where death awaits us, which place, when. So let us wait for it everywhere. To practice death is to practice freedom. A man who has learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave. A lot of people wonder what will happen to Thermax now that my son has passed away. Final. I am both amused and saddened by this. Thermax is an institution. My shares will go to my family, but the organization will continue to be run by professionals who are the most capable. It could be someone from my family or someone who is not a member of my family. One thing we in Thermax can learn from my experience, we cannot take anything as granted. We cannot take anything for granted. An individual cannot take life for granted, and an institution cannot take success for granted. So when he says about strength, all these have come because of this Buddhiyoga. Losing a dynamic, very loving and loved by people, the founder of the husband, who is the founder of Thermax, and a son awaiting to take over, this big empire, 25 years, he passed away. And this lady, instead of grumbling, complaining, brooding over, takes an impartial view of the whole thing. And to her, the meditation gave a new meaning, to draw the strength from inside. We also know that God makes us to pass through every trying situation only to bring out this strength within us. Otherwise, how will I be tested if it is smooth? The strength that makes us surrender is a superior strength. We build up that strength in the course of our struggles in this world to find a place for our own existence. This letter fits in there. That is the earlier struggle. and it consummates in this final struggle. Take away all I from there. Everything remains only. Everything remains. Only the I has gone away. Then only thou remains. This is what is called Charama Shloka. The finale, the ultimate wisdom of spiritual life. 18th chapter, Charama Shloka. Take away all I from there. Everything remains. Only the I has gone away. Then only thou remains. This is what is called Charama Shloka. Sarvadharman parityajya. Take refuge in me alone. I shall save you. All these relative attitudes of sin and virtue must be transcended in the supreme act of self-surrender. Don't worry, Mahashutaha. Have no cause for grieving, sorrow. This message, grieve not, is added to the assurance given by God to save his devotee from sin and virtue. Shankaracharya says, dharma means the duality, dharma as well as adharma. Both are to be transcended. Sri Ramakrishna speaks of dealing with dharma and adharma. Dharma is needed to get rid of adharma. Then we throw away dharma also. Sri Ramakrishna gives an example of a thorn pricking our feet. We take another thorn, remove the first thorn, and then throw away the second thorn also, because its work is over. So dharma is there to overcome adharma, and then we throw away dharma also. In the highest plane of realization, there is no distinction of the dharma and adharma. We don't, many a time, whenever this stanza is discussed, so many people will ask this question, no? How am I to abandon my duty? No? You should not abandon the duty at this stage. Only by surrendering ourselves totally to Him, we reach a state where we don't feel the need to hold on to the dharma labeled by us. It is made clear here, no? Shankaracharya beautifully brings it out. We don't live in the plane of duality. We live in the plane of pure spiritual awareness. From Him the world has come, and we return unto Him. For the world, it will take millions of years, but you and I can achieve it in this very life. It is a spiritual realization. Have complete surrender to the divine. From the One, the world has come. Into the One, the world is now merging. We realize our own infinite oneness with the supreme reality. We know that the whole world has come from Brahman. It will go back to Brahman at the time of dissolution. That will be ages and ages later. But in spiritual life, a human being has the organic capacity to attain, now and here, what the cosmos takes millions of years. That takes place through spiritual knowledge. The knowledge is everything is Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman. When I realize the truth, my pralaya or dissolution has already come. I have resolved the whole world into the divine. There is nothing separate here. Wherever I look, I will see nothing but the divine. He is present everywhere. The jnani of this nature is a flood of illumination. In the beginning of our knowledge, our illumination is only like a candle light. But this is a tremendous illumination all round. That is called the realization of that primordial ultimate reality. In this very life, all separateness vanishes. So both dharma and adharma are thrown away. How many times do we utter the word Sharanam in our bhajans? Some devotees will say, Swami Sharanamayappa. I take refuge in Sharanamayappa. Wonderful idea. Some will say, I take refuge in Shiva. According to the conception of the divine that one has, one repeats, I take refuge in that aspect of the divine. Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. Every Buddhist becomes a Buddhist by saying this. So in all spiritual literature, there is such a thing as an individual soul finding his or her consummation in the supreme reality. That stage is being mentioned in this part of the Gita. We have finished our struggles. We have become ripe enough to understand this final step in spiritual life. I have got enough strength to take away all my individuality. This is the strength. I have got enough strength to take away all my individuality and my strength from me. It all belongs to the Lord alone. To earn money, we need great strength. To renounce money, we need greater strength. To earn money, if we need great strength, to renounce money, we need greater strength. To develop character strength, we need lot of energy. But to renounce this I at the feet of the divine, we need supreme energy. That fact we all know. That is called the greatest strength. Surrender to the Lord is the result of the supreme strength. So we are chanting Ram Nam only to gain this strength to hand over. Let it become clear to all of us. We are chanting Ram Nam every day, whether it is for 5 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour, whether it is 1 mala or 10 malas or 50 malas. It is only to gain strength to hand over everything to Him. That is why Papa added, I am chanting the name of one who is behind me, who is making me to chant. To gain that strength to hand over, lock, stock and barrel, we are chanting His name. Let it be very clear to us. We are not chanting the name for anything else. Only to hand over this I to Him. In normal life, we do not surrender of that nature. When we are weak, we surrender. In a battle, we never surrender when we are strong. We surrender only when we are weak. You remember we were sharing when we were working with the Jain. The Jain used to tell us, once he took us to Shravanabelagula. So there is a big statue of Gomateshwar, Bahubali. Then he was explaining to me what is the Mahatva of Bahubali. He was a king. And his brother Bharata, somehow a dispute arose. And ultimately it ended in war. Both brothers lined up. And the war was going on. Finally, Bahubali won. Bharata showed the white flag, surrendering. It is out of strength, So he has won over. But he got down. Suddenly, that inner refinery, just like what we heard from the Anuvaga's letter. Suddenly he realized, what is it that I have won? What is to be won is the inner battle, not the outer battle. He got down. Everybody was stunned. He was moving towards his brothers. Brother also got down. Then he said, take over my kingdom. He walked away. He walked away to the forest. That is why even on his statue you will find creepers, And then he attained the nirvana. So strength is needed to win. Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om. Come again. But the strength is even to renounce, To earn money, we need strength. To renounce money, we need greater strength. We surrender only when we are weak. Whole armies will surrender, like the Pakistani army in Dhaka surrendering completely in 71, because there was no other way. But in spiritual life, we surrender only when we are supremely strong. It is not the surrender of the weak, but the surrender of the strong. What have you? Swami Vivekananda, who possessed a tremendous vigor, tremendous intellectual strength, did wonderful work in the East and the West. But when he spoke in Madras, he says, let me now only mention the great Sri Ramakrishna, the fulfillment of the Indian sages, the sage for the time, one whose teaching is just now in the present time, must be beneficial and mark the divine power working behind that man. Let me say now that if I have told you one word of truth, it was his and his alone. And if I have told you many things which were not true, which were not correct, which were not beneficial to the human race, they are all mine. And on me is the responsibility. That kind of surrender. Whatever is good has come from him, whatever is bad has come from me, is something extraordinary. This comes not from weakness, but from strength. Fullness makes for surrender. Emptiness cannot make strength. Emptiness cannot make for surrender. So this is the wonderful idea we must remember when we use the word surrender. Surrender is always bad in ordinary human life. Fight your way is what we say in normal life. Quite correct. But at this highest stage in spiritual life, surrender is the supreme word. Sri Krishna sings that note in this great music of the Geeta at this stage. Tagore in his famous book Gitanjali refers to the prayer for strength in a series of lines. He says, give me the strength never to disown the poor or bend my knees before insolent might. Likewise, so many beautiful words come. Give me the strength to lift my mind above the daily trifles. These are beautiful words in the Gitanjali. And the last line is more beautiful. And give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love. Papa. Give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love. In the Mahabharata war, we were told Karna was such a highly noble soul. Not that Sri Krishna did not know him, but he had to work out, So finally, when he was conquered, he fell down from the chariot. Krishna went to him. A very touching scene. He went there. Both of them knew the drama. But Krishna, being a more enlightened person, he said, now with water you give me all the merits that you have earned. He was a great dhani, unconditional dhana. That was his nature. So he has acquired a lot of merits. And at that stage in the battlefield, when he is immobile, when he was struggling for life, in a few minutes he will pass away. Krishna rushed up and asked, please give me knowingly you give me, transfer all the merits you have acquired. Smilingly Karna did. We may think why Krishna did this. He wanted to double up his merits, Because even at that stage, he had the strength to give what all had been acquired by him. So that gives him all that is needed. Very fair. Gitanjali says, give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love. This is the superior strength. How much strength does one need to surrender like this? That is why it is so different from ordinary and worldly experience. It is something profound in spiritual life. Some of the greatest saints and sages at the last moment, when they were fully strong, surrendered everything to the highest. Not I, but thou. That language we find again and again. Grief and delusion had afflicted Arjuna's mind, and all of us too have many occasions for grief and delusion. Sometimes a creative type of grief and delusion possesses us, and that takes us to a higher life. That does not happen every time, but sometimes it happens. A particular grief, a particular delusion makes us search for higher values, and then our new life begins there. So Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, who had all this grief till now you can give up your grief. I am here to protect you from all this. Have no more grief hereafter. Be peaceful. With a peaceful mind, look to your work, your own responsibility. Live your life as you used to live, but with a new wisdom behind that life. Philosophy is what imparts wisdom to human life. Textbook philosophy does not do that. But a deeper vision of truth is what gives to philosophy its high value. With that philosophy, one can find one's way in life. It is like a lamp which throws light on our path, shows us the way. This idea has been repeatedly expressed in our literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the greatest books on bhakti among many literature in the world, describes the help that a devotee gets from spiritual life to be like a lamp which lights up his or her way towards the divine. Adhyatma Deepam, the spiritual lamp, that is how it is described. The whole of the Bhagavatam is the Adhyatma Deepam, lit by the great sage Sukha, the son of Vyasa. So the whole of Bhagavatam contains that light from the lamp, a light unto our souls, a lamp unto our feet. This idea is given the spiritual teaching. We'll take it up tomorrow again. Very, very, very inspiring and thought-provoking, educating, kindling sloga, Sarvadharman Parityaja. The final word, nobody should give me strength to offer all my strength to you. Hari Om, Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Pranam, 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 pranam to everybody. Pranam, 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 pranam. Namaskaram. Don't forget this sloga. That is the cream of Bhagavad Gita. Cream. Super. Hari Om. Eh?
Namaste.
Namaste, namaste, namaste. Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om.